Astral world. Let's talk about the other side to Astral world and how that portal is not only still open, but the idea of the astral plane is a perpetually open portal. This portal stays open 24 hours a day, 365, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, moment by moment, second by second. You don't have to be asleep. You don't have to necessarily be meditating neither. The astral realm is a place where everybody's thoughts become things instantly. So it's to look at your thoughts, see them happening, and take everybody else's thoughts with yours, both good and bad, and you jumble them all together on an infinite plane. This is a rough picture of what the astral plane is. And while we realize it or not, the astral plane is not necessarily above us. We use that as a reference to say that it's a higher, more refined state of being. But it's much more chaotic and cluttered than what goes on down here. We have space between our thoughts and physicality. We have space and we have time in between it. And that's a bonus for us here. I mean, we would basically be in a hellscape if all of our thoughts were instantly true. Like instantly. You think $1,000,000, boom, it shows up in the blink of an eye. Because then everybody thinks that what's going to happen? We're going to suffocate from the paper. Simple things that we just don't think about. But in the astral realm, these things are true. That's why you have those dreams that are chaotic and you jump up from them almost like out of breath. These things that happen in the astral realm. The dream world is the astral realm. And I'm using the Travis Scott Astral World imagery for you to be reminded of just how effective portals are, especially when you have anything that is circular shaped with any kind of programming and media attached. Whether they realize it or not, those portals are open. Anywhere you see a circle, anywhere you see a reflection, that's a portal. And not to be all science fiction on you, but it's just a way of saying all geometric shapes will put you in a school of thought or a class of thought that becomes a world. So you could say for a person who, enjoys food and snacks to the max, the first circle is going to be a cookie, a donut, some pizza. Just by seeing a circle, it can trigger appetite, just seeing a circle. Now, this happens on a very, very subtle level. And this connects you back to the astral realm again. Because these are dealing with those levels that we can't touch and we don't necessarily communicate on the surface, right? So we don't say everything that's on our mind, everything that's in our heart. Things happen that we seemingly forget about. But these things get buried deep within us. Astral realm, in the term astral, it sounds like a stroll, like to take a walk. That's what you're doing. You're basically taking a walk through a space where every single thought is real. Now, once you're used to a place like this, you can become a masterful healer, especially of the mental condition here on earth, dealing with a lot of people. You can function like an ultimate psychiatrist, not just a psychologist, but a psychiatrist. And the medicine that you prescribe is the person's own chemistry, just elevated with a refined and higher vibration. There's sciences and different medical diagrams, I'm sure, that would point to some credibility in terms of the body being able to heal itself chemically. And wouldn't these things be created through autosuggestion? So what is so fascinating about the astral realm is, again, this cluttered effect and the impact and the scale of the mission. This is why on the other side of things, I do a lot of music. I try to do it endlessly as much as I can, because I'm the other side of the balance. So for every, like, what we would call minus music, stuff that's encouraging people to kill, steal, destroy, you would call that minus music, on the negative side of the vibration. What you don't hear a lot of or see a lot of is the positive side. So those of us, whether there be many or few, we just push it to the max. And remember, if you even want to go to the Bible, the war in heaven was fought over space. They didn't say anything about the demons or the ex-angels, the third that have fell. It didn't say anything about them being destroyed. It just said that there was no more room found for them in heaven. Heaven is within. There was no more room found for a third of whatever kind of energies there were within you. So you're pushing things out. Everything can't fit. You can't fit all your dreams and your fears together, like your fantasies and your fears. These things can't share the same space without there being civil war within you. This is what we're calling the astral realm. A stroll through the internal parts of you. All your thoughts, what you're thinking about, what you're ambitious about, what you love, what you hate. All of these things. Yep, it's connected to the feelings too. This is why they give you the imagery of the silver cord being attached from the navel like an umbilical cord. That's why they give you that analogy, because that connects to the born again principle. Is to be born again to a new form of understanding that thoughts become things. Because if you can tackle things in what we're calling that higher realm, the astral realm, if you can take a stroll first, you won't have to run to play catch up later. If you take a stroll first, you won't have to run to play catch up later. So what that means is just to be ahead of things in what you're thinking, assess scenarios properly, sharpen your discernment, pick up on clues, pick up on hints. For your spare time entertainment, try solving riddles, try solving quests, try figuring out puzzles. Try the kind of entertainment, if you can help it, the kind of entertainment that keeps your mind sharp. Because television didn't just come from what we think it was. There is a natural animal, a natural creature that is full of TVs. When we're talking about television and we're talking about being surveilled and watched, it's the fly. And the Lord of the Flies is Beelzebub. Beelzebub is the one who sends his flies to devour the old world. So if you're connected to the old world, you're being devoured under Beelzebub energy, astrally, internally. Becoming a dinosaur, faded out, giving up, becoming depressed, body getting weaker, mind getting weaker, because you don't want to participate in the cutting edge of life. Not to say that you want to be the forerunner of everything and be the leader of the new school, but just enough to take the pulse and see where the generation is going. So at least you could cheer them on with holding up the right sign at the game. So at least you know what team your babies play for. In a sense, you put that under whatever category you want to. That's more of a universal thing. But all of this stuff is combined and convoluted and crammed into the astral realm, the internal realm, the thoughts, all of this. So you're conquering that world, you're conquering that realm by introducing your own angels, which are what? Merely spirits that are sent to inherit those who are called to pull broken pieces together. What this translates to is those who inherit salvation. Those who inherit salvation. So that's what the translation is. Salvation, you're pulling these things together. The astral realm is so scattered, you're bringing order to that place where a lot of thoughts congregate. You're starting with yourself, and the magnetism that comes from you having accomplished this is going to bring others and pull others towards you. You won't find yourself necessarily going out to try to gain your clientele per se, although there's a part of it when you're going out representing what you represent you're doing that anyway, just being a calling card. All of these things is what all who are witnessing you are taking into their mental realm. So you're adding even more to that world. This ties into parallel universe theory, all of that. This takes a lot of mysticism out of it. I'm saying that you don't have to like picture a whole bunch of earths, like millions and millions of earths side by side or stacked on top of each other to understand parallel universe. Just understand that at any given time, if there's 100 people thinking or 100 people see you, that's 100 different worlds that you're in, each mind. That's good enough. Because remember, thoughts do eventually become things on some level. All of these influences spill over into that person's life, and then you see them, right? So that's another world. That's parallel universe. Like each person is one verse, universe. Each person is one verse. And within all of us, we have planetary energies. Within all of us, you could say that those planets are chakras and more. You could link their circles, right? They show them in circles, whether you want to say is a disc or a globe, a disc or a ball. That's up to you. But we're still dealing with the geometrical object of a circle. And in the astral realm, these things mean everything that they mean to everybody. So for people who are afraid, might have had a bad experience, fell in a pit before, fell in a well before, a circle is a symbol of death to somebody who may have fallen in a well and barely survived it. Circles of a dark color might trigger fear. And this applies to all objects, whatever people have in relation to an object. For some, a rectangle may have been their escape. They might have been getting chased by a dog. And fortunately that day, the door was unlocked so that they could get in the house on time. That square might be a symbol of safety. Now, all of this is true in the astral realm for whoever's seeing it or whoever's thinking whatever they think. This is why I'm not so quick to shut a person's thoughts down or perspective, because whatever they're saying is true. It's happening for them. It's really taking place in their mind. So you look at that and you work with what they show you in the astral realm. If you reconcile it, there should be a pretty mutually harmonious situation in the physical right in front of you. And all this is just when there's a meeting of the minds, you're not necessarily going to warfare against one another. You're just making peace, and together you're keeping each other polished in some way, where you're almost keeping each other clean. Like you're not doing anything to make that person angry. The other person's not doing anything to make you angry. But to go even a step further, they'll just lay out a mildly positive vibe, just something to be like, hey, I acknowledge you and you matter. A lot of times that goes a long way, because while the person is awake or asleep, they have experiences and they're taking this stuff on a stroll through their mind, through their thoughts. Astral realm, real M. That's realm. It's not, see, a realm is different from reality. A realm is not just real. There's that M at the end of it. It's a real motherboard. That's what the M could stand for, like motherboard. A realm gives birth to reality. That's what you could call pre-reality. There's reality and then there's realms. The realms come first, and then the reality is the reflection of the realms. Now, I know scientifically you could probably refute the very opposite, but for the sake of example and navigating a person's thought world, speaking on a, again, psychological level, psychiatric level, but being scientific and spiritual at the same time, and just combining all these things together so that you can understand what's happening, no matter what kind of genre is really being thrown at you, what kind of perspective, ideology, form of entertainment. You will have a certain foundation that'll help you see the main idea and everything. And what you are going to see is probably one or two or three repeating stories everywhere in in every single form of consumption, whether it be the food, whether it be something you see like a movie or a show. It could be some music that you listen to. It could be a painting, anything that could be taken in with the senses, the mind. And if you want to go even into other things, you're dealing with pitches and tones. Everybody hears them, where you hear the ringing, like if anything goes off, like power on and off, things like that. Everyone can hear that. But, we usually shut it out because we're not really thinking anything of it. But it's a super duper high pitched sound. No matter who you are, you hear it, but a lot of times we don't pay attention to it. We ignore it. You can control that though. And what that does is, if you can control that high pitched thing, you you gain strength in the mental realm. So in the dream world, psychological realm, mental realm, spiritual realm, emotional realm, communicable realm, 3D realm, that's what they're calling like the realm of God. Whoever can do all of the calculating in the mind first, where they just walking through the physical, they're taking a stroll first through the higher actions. On the left hand path, they would call it higher magic. You're taking a stroll through the fields of higher magic, so that life will be just a stroll when you're dealing with lower magic. Psychologically speaking, you're taking a stroll through the mental realm, so that all you have to do is merely take a stroll in the physical, because you will have planned everything out so perfectly, mapped everything out so right, you know, prepared so well. You're taking a stroll, astral, a stroll, astral realm, a stroll. You see that? That's all it is. You're just taking a stroll. You're not being hurried. You're not being chased down, but you're taking a stroll. Along this stroll, you'll find everything that everybody thinks about all the time. And I mean everything. I don't even have to go into detail. There's too much detail to cover. It's that kind of place. Now, I don't know what else they call it. Maybe the field, or I think other things. They call it that. Spaces, whatever you want to call it, is there. But again, back to these tones. A lot of the vibrations, like different types of hertz and things like that, understanding those and feeling those are very important when you're dealing with like interfacing technologies. This is like wearing a magneto helmet for those who believe in like voice to skull technology and project this and that. Like, man, I've been subconsciously, if you feel like you getting subconscious messages, if you feel that way, then probably controlling tone will maybe give you a form of like self-imposed deliberate self-talk that will help you counteract maybe those gang stalkerish feelings that you might feel if you're feeling like you're being electronically gang stalked. I'm not here to say whether that's true or false for you, but if you're feeling those sensations and thinking those thoughts though, understanding tones and different controls of what they call high and very, very low pitches, and you don't have to play them at loud volumes. It's recommended that you don't, but things like sine waves, it's good to like know what those are, sonically speaking. It's almost like being trained to hear a dog whistle. Sometimes you can hear, it's basically a sharpening of the senses. And this has a profound effect on the mind, because the whole body is rejuvenable. There's really nothing that really has to deteriorate away. I mean, there's no reason for human beings to live as long as they do anyway if we're not constantly a regenerating thing. I think at some point, and it stands for a lot of controversy. Maybe there's different methods and things that will cause us to maybe forfeit our shell. Maybe mortality is something that we're making real, because we don't really come across people who show us otherwise. What if that's a possibility? And again, how would we know? We would never know if we ran into somebody who never died. How would we know if we're anybody else who dies? We would never know. Yeah, that person lived forever. Well, how you know you wasn't there forever with them? Astral realm. You're taking a stroll. You're not rushing. You're not trying to run by this because there's no time in that place. It's all about thought. It doesn't take, hardly any time at all to change a thought, to hold on to a thought. It doesn't take too much time. A few concentrated seconds, a few concentrated minutes, and you're there. So this is how you take a stroll through the astral realm. And this should cover a lot of things at once, hopefully. Hopefully. Because a lot of the attack that people feel, this is where all of that battlefield placement is in your mind, but not just in your mind. It's happening with just about all minds around you too, even the animals. So it's your vibration is going to basically help you navigate and communicate and identify things that are happening, in the mind first. You'll be able to perceive things. You'll be able to read somebody's body language, for example, and you'll know whether they're angry, happy. You'll know it in general, whether they're depressed, without being, trying to scope them. You'll kind of know in a glance, in like a mere glance, you'll feel it. These are not just like magical abilities. You can develop them. You can develop them in the mind. It's just you're using different things to enhance yourself. So Super T Sigma, Astral Realm, you're taking a stroll through the different realities that are preconceived and then manifested. That's the Astral Realm in a nutshell, taking the mysticism and opening its symbology. Peace.